This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Bruchim Abam, welcome everyone, and Freich and Chanukah. So last week we learned Ein Mikra Yotzei Midei Pshutai. We kept things very simple last week. Tonight we're not keeping things simple at all. Tonight we're going all in. We begin with the Tikkunei Zayar. Tikkunei Zayar tells us like this: V'ihu hoid Temanya Yomei de Chanukah. The 8 days of Chanukah are hoid. What does that mean? You have to listen to Friday's share, upcoming Friday's share. We're going to speak about the first part of the Tikkunei Zayar. It says the Zayar, Li'arba v'esrin yoimin, after 24 days, the Inun. What are the 24 days? Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusai Li'olam Va'ed. They are the 24 letters of Baruch Shem. So if you count, if you look in the Shema, you see Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusai Li'olam Va'ed. Those words have 24 letters. So after 24, Umiyad De'ola Zayis Taraf B'fiyah, then the dove comes, grabs the olive branch, the Shemen Zayis, Sharya Chafei Al Yisrael. The Shechina resides on the Jewish people on the 25th day. So again, you have 24 Oisiyos of Baruch Shem. That takes you 24 days. Then you're up to the 25th day. Bechafei B'Kislev, you're up to the 25th day of Kislev. Ve'ilein Inon, the 25th day of Kislev corresponds to Chafhei Asvan Di Yichuda, the 25 letters of Yichud Hashem. What are the 25 letters of Yichud Hashem? Shema Yisrael Hashem Lekeinu Hashem Echad. If you count the letters of the first pasuk of Shema, you have 25 letters. Says the Zayar, what is Chanukah? Chanukah corresponds to the 25 letters of Shema Yisrael. What's this supposed to mean? What does Shema Yisrael have to do with Chanukah? Maybe we say Shema on Chanukah, we also say Shema on Tisha B'Av, right? So, what exactly is the connection between Shema Yisrael and Chanukah? The Zayar is saying after 24, after Baruch Shem, you have 25, which corresponds to the 25 letters of Shema Yisrael. By the way, the Yesod B'Shar Sha'avodah quotes this Tikkunei Zayar, word for word, again establishing the connection that Chanukah has something to do with the 25 letters of Shema Yisrael. What in the world does Chanukah have to do with the 25 letters of Shema Yisrael? So, we explore a little further. There's a sefer on Chumash called the Tzvar Hamar. Tzvar Hamar was written by Rabbi Avram Saba. Rabbi Avram Saba was one of the Gerushe Sfarad, one of the great leaders of Spanish Jewry at the end of the 15th century. Rabbi Avram Saba was expelled from France. He was expelled from Spain, expelled from Portugal. He had many manuscripts, and during the expulsion, he buried his manuscripts. He had to rewrite many of his writings from memory. He had 2 of his sons forcibly kidnapped, and they were then baptized. He never saw them again. And Rabbi Avram Saba, who's considered a Rishon, or one of the first of the Achronim, he wrote an amazing commentary on the Chumash, and he begins by saying something very bold. The Tzvar Hamar says, Va'ani hatzoyer, and I, the young man, Avraham Saba, Roitze legaloy slecha, I would like to reveal to you, Bekan, Mashen is Galilee, what has been revealed to me, Beli Sefer uveli melamed, with no book, no teacher. Nobody told this to me. What I'm telling you, it's like an einfal. It just came to me, it just occurred to me. Ume'olam lo royisi, I never saw it. V'lo shamati, I didn't hear it. Lama nikra moyed hachashmoinim Chanukah. Why is this Yom Tov called Chanukah? Says the Torah Amar, because we know all the Yom Tovim have the name of the Yom Tov is connected with the essence of the Yom Tov. So Pesach, why is it called Pesach? Because God jumped over our houses. It's called Purim. Why? Al Shem HaPur. It's called Sukkot because of Sukkot. But why in the world is it called Chanukah? So everyone's thinking, why is it called Chanukah? It's called Chanukah. Everybody knows. Chanu Chafei. They rested on 25th day of Kislev. But Tzvar Amar says that can't be the reason. But what happened? I mean, why would you call a Yom Tov? You know what the name of the Yom Tov? When they rested from the... You don't celebrate resting. What kind of Yom Tov is it? Why is it called Chanukah? So you say they rested on the 25th day. It should call then Chanu B'Chafei. What's Chanu Chafei? So the Tzvar Hamar says the following. We know the Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. We know the most important mitzvah is Talmud Torah. It's more important than Chesed. It's more important. Talmud Torah is a greater mitzvah than chesed. The only thing is, if you're in the middle of learning and a chesed happens and nobody else could do, so what could you do? Nebuch, you have to be mevatel. But Talmud Torah is a greater mitzvah. It's even a greater mitzvah than Chanukah parties. Even greater than Chanukah parties. So if you made it here tonight, then you're very lucky. Baruch Hashem. You're doing the best possible thing you could be doing. But what happens if a person lives in a generation where there are decrees on the Jewish people that do not allow us to learn? Throughout history, we have doros of Shmad. Let's say in times of Shemecha, what do you do if you can't learn? What if the Romans make a decree? There's no more learning. Right? If the Goyim are Mavatel Talmud Torah. So the Tzor HaMor writes, if Chas V'Shalom there's a Gezerah on the Jewish people that they can't learn, like in the times of Rabbi Akiva, the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted that L'chol HaPachos, we have one thing to grab onto, that if you do this, it will be considered as if you learned the whole Torah. What's that? The pasuk of Shema Yisrael. You say Shema Yisrael, the morning and the night, Sheyachshavu by belibam, Ki'ilu oiskim b'chol HaTorah, will be considered as if you learned the whole Torah. Why? Because you can't learn anymore. There's no other Eitzah. It's a Shas Hashmad. Says the Tzor HaMor, that's why in Pirkei Avos you have two types of Mishnayos. Now you'll see the Tzor HaMor obviously had a different girsa in Pirkei Avos than we do. You have some Tanoim talking about, for example, Rav Chanina ben Shradyon in Parak Gimel of Pirkei Avos. He says, "Im yeshnayim ve'ein beinehem divrei Torah." He doesn't say ve'einam oiskim b'Torah. He says ein beinehem divrei Torah. Why? Because in the times of Rav Chanina ben Shradyon, they couldn't learn. They couldn't be oisek b'Torah. There were gzeros against the Jewish people. Beinehem means, but maybe they could whisper something quickly to the other. So in the times of Chanina ben Shradyon, where they couldn't learn, at least they could quickly do something. What could they do? Shema Yisrael. But in other generations, like later on in Pirkei Avos, it talks about Asara oiskim b'Torah. Why oiskim? Because they had the opportunity to actually learn. So it says the Tzor HaMor, if you're in a generation that you can't learn, all you need to do is say the pasuk of Shema Yisrael, and that is like b'diavad as a last resort, that covers you. That will be considered as if you learned the whole day. So it says the Tzor HaMor in the third paragraph, V'lachein, Ratza Hashem, Laseis Lahem Parshas Hayichud B'Ktzara. Hashem wanted to give us one parsha, like the executive summary of the Torah. You know, somebody gives the whole speech, you have no idea what they're talking about, and then, the executive summary is they give you the upshot in 1 minute. So if you wanted to know what's the executive summary of the Torah, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And as the Gemara says in Pesachim, that a person should always teach his Talmidim b'derech Kitzara. How many letters in Shema Yisrael? We already mentioned from the Zohar, 25 letters in Shema Yisrael. Says the Tzor HaMor. That's the secret of Koi Yeh Zaracha. Koi is 25. That's the secret that Moshe Rabbeinu understood on his own. Vayifen Koi V'Choi. Says the Tzor HaMor, V'hamiyached Shmoi Shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'zeh HaPasuk Hu Kekoirei Kol HaTorah Kula. Ulakach, I'm in the third paragraph, in number 3, third paragraph in number 3, fifth line. Hachashmoinim, the Chashmonim. Lefi shemeroiv hatsarois v'hagzerois loy hoyu yucholam lasik b'Torah. They did not have the opportunity to learn. It's not like Matisyahu and Yochanan Kohen Gadol in their free time. They opened up Masechta Shabbos and they were chazering the sugya of Kira. They could not learn. They didn't have the opportunity. So what did they do? Hayu miyachtim es Hashem b'pasuk Shema Yisrael. They would unify God's name with Shema. Sheyesh b'chafei oisiois uvekoyach zeh hayichud nitzchovim. How did they defeat their enemies? They defeated their enemies with the pasuk of Shema Yisrael. That was their war cry. That was their clarion call. They would go. They would march to battle. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Says the Tzor HaMor, Ad shelazeh karu shem hamoed hazeh Chanukah. You know why it's called Chanukah? According to the simple reason, it's because they rested on the 25th. It should say what? Chanu bichafei. Why is it called Chanu chafei? The answer is Lirmais hayichud shel pasuk shema sheyesh by chafei oisiyos. You know why they were victorious? You know why Chanu? You know why they were successful? Chafei, in the merit of the 25 letters of Shema. So the name of the Yom Tif is Chanu chafei, in the merit of the 25 oisiyos of Shema. which he says represents something even further that we're not really going to get into today. We'll have to discuss this a different time, because we know Hashem's Yud Kei Vav Kei name is really representative of the greater name, the 72-letter name, and Maccabi is 72. Maccabi stands for Micha Moicha Ba'elam Hashem. And you could add as well that we know on Chanukah, without the Shamash, you have how many Neiros? You have 36 Neiros. But Rav Levi Yitzchak Barditchev says the Lamed Vav Neiros, everything we do downstairs is a reflection of what happens in Shamayim. That means in Shamayim there are a mirror image, another 36 Neiros, 36, also the 72-letter name of Hashem. But says the Tzar Amar, he concludes in the last two lines, V'lachein nikra Shem HaMoyed Chanukah. Why is it called Chanukah? Lahayros shebekayach elu chafhei oisiyos, with the strength of the 25 letters of Shema, Chanu ledigleim v'nitzchu hamachamais. They won the war in the merit of the 25 letters of Shema. So it's called Chanukah, Chanu chafhei. So somehow there is a very important, significant connection between Shema and the 25th day of Kislev. What exactly is it? Well, the Maccabees, they cried out Shema Yisrael. Let's try to understand, perhaps on a deeper level, why is the pasuk of Shema so essential to the Chashmonoim's victory over the Yevanim? Okay, let's take a look at the Medrash in the beginning of Bereshis. We know the Torah begins, V'ha'aretz ha'isa soyu b'avoyu b'choshech al pnei sahaim. And the Maral in the Netzach, in the Sefer Ner Mitzvah, he points out that we know the Jewish people throughout history had to endure the Daled Golios. Now the concept of Daled Golios, if we're enduring it and it occupies the majority of our history, obviously it's an essential experience for the Jewish people. It's not just something that happened to be. I mean, it occupies the majority of our history. That means Ribbono Shel Olam planned it from the beginning of time. And in fact, the very second pasuk in the Chumash, V'ha'aretz Haisa Sayhu Vavoyu, according to the Medrash, is a remez to the Daled Golios. If you look at number 4, Reb Shimon ben Lakish Pasar Kroya Bagolios. Rish Lakish interprets the pasuk about the Daled Golios. V'ha'aretz Haisa Sayhu Zeh Golos Bavel. Sayhu refers to Bavel, like the pasuk says about Babylon. Ra'isi es ha'aretz v'hine Sayhu. Bayu refers to Madai. Vayav Hilavias Haman. Haman is referred to a lashon of Bahala. Okay. What about Choshech? Which Golos is Choshech? The Choshech zeh Golos Yavan. Choshech refers to the Greeks. Shehechshicha einayim shel Yisrael b'gzeirosein. They darkened our eyes with their decrees. Shahoisa imeres, because they said, Kisvu al keren ashar, right on the horn of a ox. She'ein lachem chelek Belekei Yisrael, that they have no shiur in the Jewish God. Okay, so the Greeks made the following decree. In other words, the Greek dominion and the Greek exile was considered darkness. Why was it considered darkness? Because what they did to us created darkness in our lives. What did they say? They said, this is very well known, they forced us to ride on the horn of an ox, al keren hashar, that ein lochem chelek v'lekei Yisrael, you have no shiur in God. Now what's the meaning of this gzeira? So on a Parsha pshat, see nowadays we drive cars. So it would be like somebody saying, put a bumper sticker on your car, this and this and this, right? What kind of bumper stickers do people put on their car? Something that's very important to a person, they like to promote on their car. Not everybody is going to promote every opinion of theirs on their car. But let's say someone is a staunch conservative Republican, so they'll put on their car who they want everyone to know who they feel you should vote for, right? On the car, your mode of transportation is reflection of yourself, right? Why do people like to drive a nice car? Because people think that others will identify them by their car. So that's how they used to travel. They used to travel by their ox. They had different types of oxen. Some people had Ford, other people had Cadillac oxen, other people had Lexus, different kinds of oxen in those days. And it doesn't matter what kind of ox you drove, they wanted you to engrave on the horn of the ox that you have no shiur in God. a little bit odd why the Greeks would be so caught up and so hooked on making sure that everybody engraves on the horn of their ox that we have no chelek in Hashem. What is exactly the meaning of this gezerah? Actually, the Rambam in the Geras Teimon says not only did we have to write this on the ox, they forced us to plow. They forced us to plow with that ox. Okay. So what is the meaning of this gezerah? So Rabbi Glatstein, for the rest of tonight's share, I want to talk about a very important topic. I want to talk about your fingers. Huh? Yeah, I want to talk about your fingers. Everyone has fingers. I'm going to talk about your fingers tonight. There's a very interesting pasuk. Pasuk says in Mishlei, look at number 7. Pasuk in Mishlei, Perek Zayin, Pasuk Beis. Hashem tells us, says Shlomo HaMelech, Shemar mitzvosai, guard my commandments, v'chayei, and live. V'sayrasi, guard my Torah, ki'ishayin einecha, like the pupil of your eye. Kashrei maletz v'oisecha, tie it onto your fingers. Kasvei maluach libecha, write it on the board of your heart. So, the great tzaddik, the great Baal Darshan, Rav Yosef Chaim Mibavel, the Ben Ish Chai. Ben Ish Chai lived at the end of the 19th century. He wrote the Ben Yehoyada. He was a great Makubal. He was a great Baal Darshan. He was a great halachist. Ben Ish Chai also wrote a sefer, Drashos Ben Ish Chai. I believe this is the first time we're featuring it in the Shiurim. And he says, he's about the following question. Shlomo HaMelech says, guard the Torah like your fingers. I mean, I understand you want to say, put the Torah on your heart. The heart is a critical part of your body. Put the Torah on your mind. Put the Torah on your fingers. Who pays attention to their fingers? Says the Ben Ish Chai, all of Judaism is dependent on your fingers. How's that? He says, if you want to know the difference between a Yid and a Guy, then you need to look at your fingers. Because everybody has 5 fingers. You have 4 going one way, and 1 going another way. The 4 going this way are the Daled Golios, the Daled Umos Ha'olam. The 1 going up in a different direction, that's the Jewish people. And there's a fundamental difference between these 4 fingers and this finger. These 4 fingers all have 3 joints. Right? 3 joints. I'm not making this up. Your fingers have 3 joints. But your thumb has 2 joints. So the Jewish people are double jointed, and the nations of the world are triple jointed. What is that supposed to mean? The answer is there's a very big difference between Klal Yisrael and the Goyim. The Goyim also are supposed to believe in God. They could pray to God, and God could answer their prayer. V'haviosim al har kochri, v'simachtem beveis tfilasi, oilosim, zon l'ratzim, hibesi beis tefila yikari l'chol ha'amim. All the nations of the world could pray to God. But God has an intermediary between Him and the nations of the world. All the nations of the world have their ministering angel, have a malach, have a sar. That's the go-between. He's like the shadchan between God and them. He's the go-between. But us and the Rebbeinu Shalom, there's no malach, there's no saraf, there's no sar, and there's no rabbi. It's us and God. V'atem hadveikim b'Hashem Elokeichem chayim kol chanayim. You cling to Rebbeinu Shalom. Every Yid clings to Rebbeinu Shalom. There's no intermediary. You don't need anyone to bring your tefillos to Him. In fact, you can't. You're not allowed to. You have to pray directly to Hashem. It's one of the Ani Mamins. Ani Mamin be'emunah shalema shehaboyre yizbarach shemoy loy levadoy roy lesvalo ve'ein zulas roy lesvalo. Us and Rebbeinu Shalom, we're like this. We're like the thumb, right? One for the thumb. Rebbeinu Shalom, us. No intermediary. All the nations of the world are triple jointed. Rebbeinu Shalom, malach, them. Says the Ben Ish Chai, if you want to know the difference between a Jew and a Guy, don't just learn Torah on your heart, don't just put it on your eyes, don't just put it in your mind, look at your fingers. Look at the thumb, that's the Yid. Look at the other 4 fingers, that is Bavel, Madai, Paras, Yavan. Says the Ben Ish Chai, look at number 5. The pasuk says, "V'haya im shamaya tishma b'kol Hashem lekach." If you listen to Hashem, lishmar lases es kol mitzvaysav, unesancha Hashem elekecha elyon. God will make you higher. How's that? It all depends how you hold the hand. If you hold the hand like this, the umayis ha'olam are higher and you're lower. But when we're on top, they're lower and we're higher. If you do the right thing, we're on top. Says the Ben Ish Chai, look at the word Elyon. The word Elyon could be a compound word. Elyon al Yavan. Elyon is al Yavan. You want to be on top of Yavan. You want to overcome Yavan. Then you have to realize, you have to recognize that me and you, we're davuk to each other. We have no intermediary. If you understand that, I will make you Elyon. Elyon, says Ben Ish Chai, is al Yavan, and al kol goyei haaretz, and over all the nations of the world. So the Ben Ish Chai is bothered by a question. Why are we singling out Yavan? Why is God saying, if you do the right thing, I'll make you al Yavan and all the other nations? What, Yavan is special? Why are we singling them out? Yavan was not the mightiest nation. Yavan never destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. Yavan was not Bavel. Bavel in the Navi Daniel was compared to gold. Madai is compared to silver. Yavan is only copper. Why are we singling out Yavan? Edom is much more powerful. In another dream, Bavel is compared to the lion. Madai is compared to the bear. Yavan is compared to the leopard. What's a leopard? Edom is like the monster in Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Why are we singling out Yavan? So the Ben Ish Chai says, we're singling out Yavan like this. Hashem says, I'll give you dominion over Yavan, who's the smallest and least powerful of all the Ummais, and not only them, all the Ummais, all the rest of them as well. So I would like to suggest another reason why Hashem is singling out that when we are davuk to Hashem, we will overpower Yavan. Why we're emphasizing Yavan more than any of the other Ummais ha'elam. Okay, let us continue. Let us come to Shiras Hazino, number 9. The pasuk says, everybody's familiar with this pasuk. The question is, what in the world does it mean? Behanchel elyon goyim. When God gave an inheritance of the nations, behafridoi b'nei adam, when He separated man, yatsev gvulos amim, He established the boundaries of the world, lemisbar b'nei Yisrael, by the number of b'nei Yisrael. Yeah, what in the world does that mean? And then it says, Ki chelek Hashem amoy, Hashem's nation is His chelek, Yaakov chevel nachlasai, we are God's lot. It almost seems like Hashem made a raffle, and Hashem won the raffle, and guess what Hashem won? Ribono Shel Olam, you are the proud winner of Bnei Yisrael. That's what the pasuk says. Ki Yaakov, Ki chelek Hashem amoy, Yaakov chevel nachlasai. Hashem won us in a raffle. Like you go to these Chanukah parties the kids go to, everyone gets a raffle ticket. When I was a kid, the big prize was the Rebbe brought from F.A.O. Schwartz a snake, stuffed snake, that was longer than a school bus. And the whole year, like you're waiting, maybe you'll be zoicha to win the snake. What in the world you'll do with it? I don't know. But I still remember wanting to win that snake. Well, the Ribono Shel Olam was in a raffle, it seems, and he won. Who did he win? He won us. What's this supposed to mean? Says the Pirkei Reb Glatstein. Uminayin, number 11. Shehipil goyrolois beineim. How do we know the Ribono Shel Olam cast lots? Shenemar behanchel elyon goyim. When God had an inheritance of the nations. V'nafal goyrolois shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu al Avraham v'al Zarai. And God's ticket fell out on the descendants of Abraham. Shenemar Ki chelek Hashem amoy. Who's Hashem's portion? We are. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when Hashem won. Ribono Shel Olam, now that you won the lottery, what are you going to do now? Ribono Shel Olam said, I'm so happy. I really wanted to win this prize. I'm really glad I won this prize. This was a very sweet prize. So Hashem, all the Malachim said, okay, no. What's our prize? Like all the kids say, he won, now what am I going to win? So Hashem said, don't worry, everyone's going to win something in this game. So Hashem took all the 70 malachim, the Yared HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem went down, the Shivim HaMalachim HaSoivim Kisei Kvoidai, with the 70 malachim, Ubilbel Es L'Shoinam, L'Shivim Goyim, Hashem discombobulated the languages of all the nations of the world, L'Shivim L'Shoin, He made 70 different writings and 70 different languages, Kol Echad V'Echad Goy, every nation by itself, Uksavay L'Shoinai, and every malach won a different nation. One malach won the Italians, one malach won the Japanese, one malach won the Russians, one malach won the Persians, and Hashem said, but I was the big winner. Why? Ki Yaakov bachar loika, like the pasuk, Ki chelek Hashem amai. What is Hashem's chelek? Klal Yisrael. In fact, in the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel, says, he also, on the pasuk, he explains the significance of this lottery, that lemispar b'nei Yisrael, in other words, the 70 nations of the world correspond to the 70 neshamas of Klal Yisrael went down to Mitzrayim. So in other words, Hashem said, look, I'll get the 70 Jewish people, I'll get the 70 souls, and you each get another ummah corresponding each to one of the Shivim L'Shainos. And the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel adds, at this point, Michael opened up his mouth, and he said, Ribbonu shel Olam, we're very proud of you, good going, you're the big winner. And Gavriel opened up his mouth, and he sang, Shiur ta Hashem, Ribbonu shel Olam, you caught the big fish. You won. You're the big winner. You got Klal Yisrael. What exactly is this inyan that Hashem won us, as opposed to all the Malachi Ashars, they won other nations? What does this mean? The Ramban, in Parsha Achrei Mos, on this pasuk, he's discussing the pasuk, Ki chelek Hashem amai. He says on the second line, number 12, the ha'inyan, the concept is, Ki Hashem hanichbad, that the honorable God, He created everything in this world. And all the power that there is in this world, He gave over to forces upstairs. He gave over to the Elyonim. Who are the Elyonim? To the Koichavim and the Mazalis. In other words, every ummah, every nation has a corresponding constellation which controls the affairs of that nation. As the Ramban says, as is well known, be'itztagninos, in the discipline of astrology, it's well known that different astrological signs control different ummahs. And on top of the astrological signs are different malachi hasharis, are different angels. Says the Ramban on the fourth line, Ki chalak, this he says, V'zeu shenemar, asher chalak Hashem elokecha oisam l'chol ha'amim. That Hashem gave over to all the nations a different system of control. Ki chalak l'kulam, He gave over to all of them, mazolos, constellations, v'shamayim, ugvayim aleim, and on top of these constellations are malachei elyoin, are malachim. So the system is like this. It's not even 3 joints, it's like 4 joints. You have on the top, you have the Ribbonu shel Olam. Under the Ribbonu shel Olam are the malachim. Under the malachim are the koichavim. Under the koichavim are the umayis ha'olam. In the Navi, throughout Tanakh, these malachim are called sarim. Like the Navi talks about the Sar of Persia, the Sar of Yavan. But v'hinei Hashem hanichbad, hu Eloikei, hu Eloikim, v'adonei ha'adonim. God rules over everything. It says Ramban, but Klal Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, there are no koichavim, there are no mazolos, there are no malachim. We are Hashem's. Hashem deals with us direct deposit. So if Hashem wants to give us something, doesn't have to give it to one guy, to pass it off to someone else, to send it through this. No, straight, quick pay. Klal Yisrael and the Ribbonu shel Olam is v'atem adveikim Hashem lekem. We are Hashem's share. Hashem won us. He said, I'm not giving you over to anybody else. Let's just add one idea, and then we're going to tie everything together. The Ramchal writes in the Derech Hashem that the Yom Tov of Chanukah is to be mechazek and to bring out the oiros, the original lights, the original rectification that happened the first Chanukah. It's our job to bring it out and arouse it again and again every year. Says Ramchal, especially the Yevanim, more than anything else, they were trying to instigate and undermine the power of the menorah and the Beis HaMikdash, and therefore, when we light the menorah, we are overcoming what the Yevanim were trying to undermine. They were out to attack, to undermine the menorah, and we, by lighting the menorah, are able to overcome what they were trying to undermine. Now we know, what is the menorah symbolic of? The Gemara says in Masechta Shabbos that the Ner Ma'aravi of the menorah, it was the first candle lit, it was the first ner lit, and it lasted the longest. The Gemara says in Masechta Shabbos and Daf Chav Beis Amud Beis that Noisin B'Shem and Kamidas Chavroseh, it had just as much oil as all the other lamps. Umimena Haya Madlik, they lit that one first. Uba Haya Masayim, and it lasted the longest. And what was the function of it? The Gemara says, Eidus hi labai olam. It gave testimony to the world, Shahashchina Shoira b'Yisrael, that the Shechina is with us. That means, with all the miracles that happened in the Beis HaMikdash, how do we know the Shechina is with us? From the Menorah. So let's just define something very simply. What does Shechina mean? Shechina. When you have 10 people, Kol Be'asara, Shechina Sharia. Well, what's the concept of Shechina? What is Shechina? Kedusha. Shechina is here. The Menorah represent Shechina. It's a very nice word. Hamachzer Shechina. What is the concept of Shechina? Well, interestingly, Rabbeinu Bechaye says on the words V'hayisi lahem le'lokim, that I will be their God. I will be their God means I will dwell my Shechina on them. The Ramban in number 12, he on the exact same pasuk of V'hayisi lahem le'lokim, what does it mean? I will be their God. It means I will be theirs. In other words, there's no intermediary. The concept of Shechina is the Goyim will never have Shechina. Shechina indicates Devekos B'Hashem. That means direct connection. No intermediary, no go-between, no mazolos, no malachim. Shechina represents the straight connection to Hashem. Sounds beautiful. The Yevanim came to Klal Yisrael and they said, every Jew has to ride al keren hashar ein lachem chelek v'keser. Why on the ox? Why not on their house? Why not on their shoes? Why on the ox? So the Maral says, what Aveira did Klal Yisrael do with the ox? They said, Eila Elohecha Yisrael, the Cheto Egal. Cheto Egal was a shar. They said, Alei shar. The point of the Gzera of the Yevanim was, they were saying to the Jewish people, you have no share in Hashem. You know why? Because you made an Egel. And if you made an Egel, Ein lochem chelek b'lekei Yisrael. So let's try to understand from it. By the way, Rashi on the Medrash says, take a look on your sheets, Rashi on the Medrash number 18, that the concept of writing on the keren of a shar, why a shar? What the Greeks were doing was they were trying to drum up the Cheto Egel. They were saying, you think you're connected to God? Remember what you did? Remember you made this golden calf? By the way, what was the purpose of the golden calf? It's not Avodah Zarah. It's a sar. It's an intermediary. It's a go-between. Why are the Yevanim focusing on the Egel? Because the Yevanim are saying, you Jews, you think you're Davuk B'Hashem. You think you're Atem Advekim B'Hashem Lekeichem. You're not Davuk B'Hashem. Ein lochem chelek v'lekei Yisrael means you're not the chelek of Hashem. In Parshas Hazinu we read, Ki chelek Hashem amoy. Hashem says, you know who my share is. You know my prize. You know what I own. That I'm not giving to anybody else. That this is my prized possession that I deal with intimately, directly. It's the Jewish people. Well, the Greeks didn't like that. The Greeks said, who do you think you are? You think you're going to relegate us to this side of the hand with Bavel, Madai, Yavan, Paras? No. And you're by yourself. You're the Goydel. You're the thumb. You and God are like that? No, you and God are not like that. Ein lochem chelek b'lekei Yisrael. And you know what the proof is? Because you made the Egel. And the Egel represents that even you believe that you need a go-between, an in-between. And in fact, in the Psukim, look at number 19. Right after the Cheto Egel, the Ribbon Shalom said, sorry, I can't be with you anymore. Vishalachti lefanecha malach. You're going to be like all the other Umay Sa'ilam. You're also going to have a go-between. Hashem said, Ki lo yela b'kirbecha. I can't go with you anymore. And the pasuk says, Vayishma ha'omes adavar hara. When the people heard, Vayisabolu, they mourned. Rashi said, what were they mourning about? They were mourning she'ein hashchina shoira maleches imam. They were mourning the fact that now, unfortunately, the thumb has been transplanted to the rest of the hand and grown another joint, and they're going to be just like Bavel and Madai and Paras and Yavan. Until Moshe Rabbeinu davened, V'neflinu ani v'amcha. We want to be different. We want to be in a different direction. We want to be the thumb again. But at this point in time, after the Cheto Egel, the Ribbon Shalom downgraded us to all the Umay Sa'ilam. That we also have a go-between. Hashem said, V'shalachti malach. So you look in the Medrash, in Bamidbar Rabbah, number 20. When Rebbe Shem said the words, Hine anoichi shaleach malach, hadahu d'chsev. This is what it means. Ani amarti Elohim atem. I thought you would be a god. Uvnei Elyon kulchem. I thought you would be Bnei Elyon. We could tie chapla according to the Ben Ish Chai. I thought you would be Al Yavan. I thought you would be greater than Yavan. Yavan believes everybody has an intermediary. No, I thought you would be Al Yavan. I thought you would be Davuk to me. And therefore, when Klal Yisrael, the Medrash says, stood on Har Sinai, Hashem said to the Malach HaMaves, you have dominion over all the nations of the world. But on this nation, no Malach has any tampering rights. They're going to live forever. No Malachim could touch them. Why? Shehem Chelki. They belong to me. You want my tie? You can have my tie. You can't have my wallet. My wallet is mine. You're not. Hashem said, they're mine. Nobody could touch it. Nobody could tamper with it. Nobody could give it. Nobody could add to it. Nobody could take it away. They're my chilek, not even the Malach HaMaves. Shenemar behanchel elyon goyim ki chelek Hashem amoy. That before the Chet HaEgel, the Rebbe Shem made a big announcement. No Malachim could tamper with us. No Malachim could take away our lives. Says Rebbe Shem, unfortunately, we couldn't keep the deal. V'loi ritzisem, you didn't want. You corrupted yourself, and therefore ka'adam timusun. You're going to die just like all the other nations of the world. Ma oivdei koichavim mishtamshim besarim. Just like the nations of the world use malachim. Af atem kain, you too. You're also going to use malachim. In other words, after the Chet HaEgel, the Rebbe Shalom said, you're not Elyon anymore. What does Elyon mean? Elyon means Al Yavan. Elyon means Al Yavan. Hashem says, sorry, all bets are off. I thought you could be like the thumb. I thought all the Umayis Ha'olam are three-jointed, are the four fingers. The four fingers all have three joints. Because they have the Rebbe Shalom, Malach, nation. I thought you were going to be like the Goydel. The Goydel is just two joints, Rebbe Shalom and you. That was the plan. But after the Chet HaEgel, you're just like the rest of them. Now you have a thumb with three joints. You see, imagine someone with a thumb with three joints. So like, what kind of accident were they in? So the nations of the world looked at us. The Jewish people, what happened to you? You look like you're in some kind of oil spill or some kind of natural disaster. What happened? You grew a joint. You're this lot. What happened? And Hashem said, just like the nations of the world use sarim, you're also going to use a sar. By the way, Moshe Rabbeinu davened, and he davened, v'neflinu ani v'amcha, he brought us back to the double-jointed thumb. But that is why the Yevonim said, Kisvu al Keren Ashar. The Shar represents which Chet? The Chet HaEgel. Why the Chet HaEgel? Because the Chet HaEgel was the Aveira that caused Klal Yisrael to lose its status of being Dovuk B'Hashem, to have an intermediary. So, we want to suggest, why does the Pasuk say that when we do the right thing, and Hashem turns the hand this way, you're going to be Elyon, Al Yavan. Why Al Yavan? It should be Al Edom, Al Bavel. Why Al Yavan? The answer is, Edom is much more powerful than Yavan. And Bavel is much more powerful than Yavan. But in terms of the battle of the fingers, right, there's a big battle of the fingers. The battle of the fingers is, who is Zoichet to be the Goydel? Who is Zoichet to be only two-jointed and attached to God? There's only one nation that clamors and claims, Jewish people, get down with us. Get down here. You're not higher than us. There's only one nation that makes the challenge. Who? Yavan. Where do they make the challenge? They said, Kisvu al Keren Hashar. Remember the Chet HaEgel? No, God remembers it. God never forgets it. V'yoyim pakti ufakadati. So if the Rebbe Shalom never forgets the Chet HaEgel, that means you're not a thumb. You're not a Goydel. You're just a regular finger. So the Rebbe Shalom says, Unesancha Elyon. I'm going to give you dominion over Yavan. In other words, I'm going to demonstrate that, in fact, you're not just like all the Umayis Ha'olam. You are Davuk v'yatem adveitim Hashem Elokeichem. So let's come back. The Zayar says, Kunei Zayar, Yud Gimel says, that why is Chanukah on the 25th day of Kislev, corresponding to the 25 letters of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. What is the kavana when we say Shema? What is the kavana when we say Shema? It says the Tshuvas HaRashba. The primary kavana is that we're saying, Rebbeinu Shem, you're the God, Shema Yisrael, Hashem, Elokeinu, you're our God. What does it mean you're our God? You belong directly to us. We don't need any go-between. We don't need any malachim. We don't need any sarim. We don't need any rabbanim. You need rabbanim, but not for this. Rebbeinu Shalom, us and the Rebbeinu Shalom, we're tied together. Hashem, the koyach of Shema is a declaration of, says the Rashba, Ki chelek Hashem amoy. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu is we're declaring Ki chelek Hashem amoy. So it comes out mamish beautiful. The Yavanim made us write Al Karen Hashar Ein Lachem Chelek V'Elokei Yisrael. You're not Chelek Hashem. You're just like the rest of the Shivim Umais. You're not connected to Hashem. You also have an angel. You also have a go-between. The Koyach of the Chashmonaim was no. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. We have no go-between. We have no Sar. We have no Malach. Hashem is our God. We are His Chelek. You say Ein Lachem Chelek. We say no. Hashem Elokeinu. That was the battle. The battle of the bulge. Ein lachem chelek v'elokei Yisrael, na Hashem Elokeinu. That is why the Chashmonaim, the Tikkun Ezara says, Kislev, the 25th day of Kislev. After Baruch Shem. Baruch Shem is the Yichud, the lower level Yichud. After Baruch Shem has 24 Oisiyos. On the 25th day of the month, corresponding to the 25 letters of Shema Yisrael, is the Yom Tov of Chanukah. It's a declaration. When we light the menorah, we say the Shechina is with us. We say all the Umayis Ha'olam are outsiders to God. They have to go to a go-between. They have to go to a Gabbai. The Gabbai says, yeah, well, what do you want? Not available right now. Come back at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll try. We'll try to get it in. Maybe next week. Call back next week. Rebbeinu Shalom is me, Ka'amcha Yisrael, B'chol Kareinu Elav. We could call out to Rebbeinu Shalom any time, right? Umi Goy Gadol, Asher Lo Yelekim Kroivim Elav. We're Aviatem Hadveikim Hashem Lekechem. Which finger are we? We're the Gadol. We're the thumb. By the way, everybody needs to know, right? We have 5 fingers. That we know. So what are the 5 fingers called? Somebody said, the pinky, the ring finger. No, you have to know what they're called. The Zeres, the Gemara in Ksuba says, the Zeres. Why is it called the Zeres? Because you measure from here to here, the Zeres of the Choshen. And the Kmitza. When you do the Kmitza, this is the last finger that grabs it. Then the middle finger is the Amma. From here until here is an Amma. Then you have the Etzba, the finger, it's a measurement, Etzbois, and then the Goydel. Says Rabbeinu Bechai, just like we have 5 fingers, there's Rabbeinu Bechai in Parsha Tzav, you also have 5 senses. You have the sense of hearing, you have the sense of sight, you have the sense of touch, you have the sense of smell, and you have the sense of taste. Well, we know Dvarim Gedolim Eino B'Mikra. There's nothing coincidental in this world. Everything has a tachlis. If you have 5 fingers, says Rabbeinu Bechai in the name of the Chachmei HaTeva, each one of the 5 fingers services a different sense. So the pinky conveniently fits in your ear. You ever know that? Right? Somebody has something in the ear, they use the pinky. Why? Unless you jam one of the other fingers in, it's not going to work. You have something in your eye. Which finger? This finger. Most people use this finger. But I don't use that finger. Now you know. Now you know. You should use that finger. This finger is for the eye. The middle finger is touch. It's the widest, it's the longest. Right? It's the most surface area, right? When you have the itch on your back, it's the middle finger. It's a big chesed. Sometimes a person's itchy, and you can't reach it. And Hashem did you a chesed. You got out the itch. Maybe you should make a bracha. You say, thank you Hashem, it's a big chesed. The middle finger. This finger conveniently fits in the nose.
No,
in the nose. No. This finger's for the nose. And this finger, when you have something in your mouth, you usually use the gaida. That's Rabbeinu Bechai in Parshat Tzav. There is an ancient Gersa of Rabbeinu Bechai, quoted in the Sefer Shmuah Toiva, that if you take the gematria of Zeres, Kmitza, Amma, Etzba, Goydel, Yad, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Exactly. That's why when you say Shema, you cover your eyes with all 5 fingers. The Zeres, the Kmitza. What are you declaring? You're declaring that you're subjugating all of your 5 senses to Rebbeinu Shalom. Saying, Rebbeinu Shalom, all of my 5 senses, my sense of hearing, I'm not going to just listen to whatever I want. Driving in the car, I could waste 9 hours listening to talk show. No. I'm subjugating my koyach hashmiya to you. I'm subjugating my sense of sight to you. My eyes are not in my own rishus. They are subject to your will. All of my senses, all of my chushim are subject to you. When we say Shema, we're subjugating the five senses to Hashem. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Zeres, Kmitza, Ama, Etzaga. By the way, Yad is a numerical value what? 14. You know why? 3 joints, 3 joints, 3 joints, 3 joints, 2 joints. 14. Yad. The Chashmonaim, we're making a declaration. You say Ein Lachem Chelek Belekei Yisrael. We say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. First of all, the Chashmonaim were saying that you say we have no connection to God, we're not Davuk Hashem. We say we are Davuk to Hashem. We're Mamish Mizdabik to Rebbeinu Shalom with all of our 5 senses. Now, Rabbeinu Bechaya is being megala to us that the 5 fingers, what are the 5 fingers? The 5 senses. That is the kayach of Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, we're subjugating all of our chushim, all of our senses, all of our abilities, all of our, even though the ancient scientists said there are more than 5 senses. They say there are 29 senses. But it's not true. They all root back to the Chamesh Chushim. And it's a declaration that all of these 5 senses belong to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So you want to know what Chanukah has to do with Shema Yisrael. Chanukah is the time that we declare Elyoin al kol goyei haaretz. What's Elyoin? Yavan. Al Yavan. Yavan says Ein lachem chelek v'lekei Yisrael. Chanukah, we say that we light the menorah. The menorah is Hashras Hashchina. We say the Rebbeinu Shalom is mizdabek to us, without any intermediary, without any sar. This is the koyach of Shema. We're subjugating all of our 5 senses to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So, there's a very beautiful remez. We know there's a klal from Reb Tzadok HaKohen. Reb Tzadok HaKohen says that every single thing in the Torah and everything in this world, if you want to know where is something rooted, where does something have koyach from? Everything has koyach from the Torah. But every entity in this world is rooted in the first time it appears in the Torah. In other words, if you want to know where Shamayim comes from, it's from the first time Shamayim appears in the Chumash. You want to know where Aretz comes from? It's the first time Aretz appears in the Chumash. Reb Tzadok HaKohen writes in Machshavos Charotz, V'nei kol davar, number 27, kol davar b'makom shu nizgar b'y b'Torah b'rishayna sham hu kol koyach oisei davar. That is the koyach of that matter. He says, Reb Tzadok HaKohen, how do I know? First of all, chumeduma shekach kibalti. I think I have such a tradition. And number 2, v'hu davar barer. It's also obvious. It's clear. Everybody knows. Everybody understands that everything is rooted in the first time it appears in the Chumash. So first we want to say like this. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, I'm going to make you Elyon. Right? We asked the question. Why is Rebbeinu Shalom specifically saying, I'm going to give you dominion over Yavan? Why not Edom? Why not all the other Ummahs? It's because Yavan was the only Ummah to challenge the idea that we're the Goydel. Which other nation said, Ein lachem chelek v'lekei Yisrael? So Hashem says, when you're davuk to me, I will give you dominion, Elyon al Yavan. That is why the pasuk of Ki chelek Hashem amoy also says like this. Rebbeinu Shalom says, you want to know Ki chelek Hashem amoy? Behanchel Elyon goyim. I'm going to give you dominion over Yavan. Yavan will be the only nation that challenges that. I will give you Elyon al kol goyim, and you will be Ki chelek Hashem amoy. You will be my chelek. So, the nations of the world, they all are vying, they're all saying that we made the Egel, and the Rebbeinu Shalom rejected us. The Rebbeinu Shalom relegated us to an intermediary, to a malach, v'shalachti ufanecha malach. The Medrash says more than that now you're going to use sarim, but ultimately the Rebbeinu Shalom considers us in Parshas Hazinu, ki chelek Hashem amay. While the Yevanim say, ein lachem chelek v'kei Yisrael, the cry of Chanukah was Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Which means, Shema is what? Shema is control over all 5 fingers. Because the Gematria of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad is all 5 fingers. Zeres, Kmitza, Amma, Etzba, Goydel. We have dominion over all the Malchios. The koyach of Shema is dominion over all the 5 etzba'is. The first time the word Elyon appears in the Chumash, Umalki Tzedek, Melech Shalem, Haitzi Lechem V'Yayin, V'hu Koyen Le'el Elyon. And I heard from Rav Eitan Feiner. He said that means the first time it says Elyon is in the also the first mention of Kahuna, also a remez to the victory of the Chashmonim, of the Kohanim, Elyon Al Yavan. We could say one more thing. Kemat, every nes that ever happened to us, there's no go-between. There are no heroes. The Haggadah, Moshe Rabbeinu is out. It's only Ein Lanu Melech Goyel Moshe Ela Ata. It's interesting that by Chanukah, it was Al Yedei Kohanecha HaKadoshim. It was Dafka through the Kohanim. Why Dafka through the Kohanim? Because Yevon Shem wanted to make us understand that in Avodas Hashem, in Judaism, there are no intermediaries. You think Kohanim are your intermediaries? No. They're not your intermediaries. They do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. They have designated tasks. They're going to demonstrate to you that you are davok to the Rebbeinu Shalom, that there are no sarim, there are no malachim, there are no intermediaries. So really, Chanukah is a celebration of which finger? The Goydel. Goydel is begematria 44. Im HaKoilel. Keneged the 44 neros of Chanukah. When you light the neros of Chanukah, we recognize that all the Umayis Ha'olam, they belong to others. They don't belong to Rebbeinu Shalom. But what is Chanukah? Chanukah is Hashem Elokeinu, is the 25 oisios of the Yichud of Shema. It says Tikunei Zayar, Keneged the Chafei Asvan the Yichuda, Keneged the 25 letters of Shema. When we're Meyached Hashem, what are we saying? We're saying Hashem is ours. We have no intermediary. The Yevanim say Ein Lachem Chelek. We say Yesh Lanu Chelek Gadol Ki Yaakov Chelek Hashem. Like the Rashba says, that's a kavanah of Shema, that's a kavanah of Chanukah. When we say Shema, we subjugate all the etzvos, all the chushim to Rebbeinu Shalom. And Rebbeinu Shalom says, when you light that menorah, the Shechina is Shayra b'Yisrael. You are my Chelek, you are mine, you are Chelki v'Nachalasi, Ashrecha, v'Toivach, Afreilach and Chanukah.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.